On January 8th, I received an invitation from a colleague of mine, Dr. Adrian Jacoby, to view an artifact of strange and disquieting implications at his personal estate. As Dr. Jacoby is a renowned purveyor of objects and artifacts of the occult, I thought it within my best interest to indulge him. In truth, I'd long been hoping to survey the doctor's collection firsthand.
Close that door, would you, Barlow? We don't want to wake the dead.
Dead?
Oh, my children are sleeping. Brandy was your drink, was it?
Thank you, yes. Is this?
A Hans Lichtenberg, Volume 1.
Oh my God. I thought it was lost to time. It must be worth a fortune.
Several, I should suspect. Completing the set was my greatest achievement, many would say.
With the power in these pages, you could punish any who wronged you without a trace. Live a life of wealth and power. Topple empires.
My life's work. It's almost sad, isn't it? To see it confined to a space smaller than a bedroom.
The worth is not measured in the space it takes up, Doctor, but the history it represents. Look at these artifacts, these books. This manuscript here. Byzantine Empire. Thousands of years live on in this very room. Threads to another plane of existence. Secrets most could scarcely dream of. What higher worth could one possess?
My, I never knew a thief to have such a way with words.
I prefer to think of myself as a collector, much the same as you.
Wasn't intended as a slight, dear Barlow. Quite the contrary. Please. Now there's an altogether different object. My good friend, I've called you here tonight to discuss.
Of course. My eye seems to be failing me. I don't believe I recognize it.
Nor did I. Yet I dare say it may be the most valuable piece in my collection.
You had my curiosity, but now I am most intrigued.
This story begins no less than 6 months ago, June of this past year, when I was approached by a mysterious figure seeking to sell me an artifact of great importance. A thin, plain wooden box making its way through the occult underworld faster than I'd ever heard. No one seemed to want to hold on to this old thing. It was as though they were scared of it. Now, you're familiar with the services rendered by Hassan Akkad?
I am. A man of extreme renown. The most professional security team I've worked for.
I'd heard as much myself, and so I hired Mr. Akkad and his team to retrieve this box for my collection. But something strange happened after the buyer had been handled and the object retrieved.
Oh?
Akkad absconded with the box.
He stole it for himself. That doesn't sound like the man.
Not at all. And after speaking to his team, I discovered some rather unsettling news. It would seem Akkad looked inside. Perhaps it was an accident. What I do know is that after looking into this box, Akkad left his team, flew to his home a nation away, and promptly murdered his wife and 3 children.
What? Oh, Christ, I met his wife.
Oh, a lovely woman, I'm told.
What possessed him?
What indeed? Now, it would seem a wave of such occurrences could be traced back to this box. Men and women of strong mind and stalwart character driven to depravity and insanity after crossing paths with it. What could possess such power? I tell you, my curiosity quickly became obsession. So I hired Mr. Akkad's team to find him and the box with one caveat. Don't look in the box.
What did they find?
Akkad, in a motel bathroom, A day's worth of urine and feces soaking through him. He was screaming, inconsolably, his voice weak, broken, as if he'd been doing it for days. There was blood everywhere. It took them a moment to realize because he had his hands over his face. He'd gouged out his own eyes.
Oh my God. What could possibly make a sane man do such a thing?
You know, I asked him that very question before he expired. Why? What was in the box?
What did he say?
Little that was coherent. He said inside lay knowledge, understanding of his fate.
Fate.
I could not comprehend how mere knowledge and an idea could bring someone to utter insanity. He said it was like, I remember this part well, it was like a worm had burrowed inside his skull, wriggling, twisting amongst his thoughts, pervading every second of life with one terrible, immeasurable truth. No breath would now come without that worm feasting inside his soul. The agony of a truth too unbearable for any sane mind. Tell me, Barlow, what would you do if you learned of the existence of hell?
I suppose I haven't given it much thought.
You have, I've discovered. Isn't that fascinating? Even the religious, they preach of a great fire of damnation, but do they ever stop and think about what that really means? I mean, even you and I, we work with the arcane and the unholy in our very lives, and yet do we ever stop and ask, what if? What would you do, Barlow, if you were to learn that all your misdeeds were tallied, all your sinful thoughts and momentary lapses of moral character were enumerated and quantified into a suffering that would last forever? At the moment you stop breathing, you will be burned and flayed and violated and harvested and reborn to experience it over and over and for never-ending expanse.
What is the purpose of this?
Would you gouge out your own eyes in horror? Would it lead you to strangle your own children just so that they might never run the risk of sin? What is death compared to damnation?
I've had enough.
Would you like to look inside?
You looked.
Perhaps your viewing will be different. Perhaps your soul is as of yet untarnished.
Doctor, where are your children?
They're sleeping.
Thank you for the drink, Doctor.
I've known for months now that you've been planning on killing me, dear friend. My collection is ripe for the taking. I imagine it would bring you millions.
Thief, you called me. What is your fortune, Doctor? But that which you took from those less fortunate.
How fascinating. You would imagine the knowledge of my damnation, my endless agony, would cause me to prolong this mortal coil for every extra breath, every second. But the truth about eternity, Barlow, it doesn't matter. Tonight or 50 years from now, my soul is damned. I'm already burning.
Enough games. We can make this easy.
Oh, could we? One more game, Barlow, before we proceed. Another little philosophical exercise. What if the very action you're about to partake in, the murder of an unarmed man, a friend, is the very thing that seals your fate, damns your soul, sends you into the pit?
You think this will work? This is your shield to preserve your life. A sermon and an old box.
Very possible. You could get to the crux of it in a moment. You need only look. Do you think it's happened yet? Is the soul contaminated by the intent, or do you actually need to snuff the life from my body to be damned?
I am not falling for your games.
That's the thing about the worm, dear Barlow. A thought is all it takes. You need only the... You need only look. You need only look. You
July 12th. 6 months have passed since I murdered a colleague and stole his ill-gotten wealth. No one knew of my presence there. No connections have been made. And yet, I find myself unable to sleep. Plagued by a single terrible thought. What if, burrowing like